Hold on tight for the next hour. You're entering into a place, a zone called the alternative to the alternative media. It's a place, a special place where even truth seekers fear to tread.
All right, people, let's move like we've got a purpose.
Affirmative.
Okay, glad you're back on the Investigative Journal on this Monday, August 7th, 2017 day on our calendar. And let's talk politics for the first half hour. And I want to get right down to Tom Fenton of Judicial Watch. Explain who that group is if you don't know. And answer these questions for me. Why, if on the surface, if you look at what Hillary Clinton was accused of doing, blatant crimes of forwarding emails privately, revealing national security secrets, getting involved with Russia on Uranium One, giving away large percentages of our uranium to Russia. And not even to mention that, the Clinton Foundation, pay-per-play activities which are going on all over the world. And yet, you could understand perhaps she was protected by the Obama administration. But now that Trump is in office, why is she still being protected? And Trump and his people now are in front of a grand jury. Where was the grand jury for Clinton? Well, the reason I wanted to play this is Tom Fenton of Judicial Watch. And he's a mainstream guy. So let's listen to the mainstream guy, but I'm going to add a few things because we go just a bit deeper here. Now, he says this. He says that Tom Fenton of Judicial Watch has 100% smoking gun proof that the Trump Attorney General, who he appointed, Jeff Sessions, is compromised and is in fact covering up for the Clintons. In this video I'm going to play, he updates how Sessions and the DOJ has redacted all the talking points that Loretta Lynch gave to their lies straight about the tarmac meeting. So remember that with Bill Clinton meeting Loretta Lynch, who was that time Attorney General, right before Comey was to come forward with the Clinton investigation, and I put that in quotes. The Trump administration won't even tell us what was said by Lynch. They're redacting everything. So Sessions now has been caught red-handed by Judicial Watch covering up criminal activity by the Clintons and the Obama administration. And he says it's outrageous. Of course it's outrageous. Sessions is a fake attorney general, more concerned with people smoking marijuana than treason. What I wanted to mention was this. We're going to play this, and you have to remember, Judicial Watch is a mainstream group. And they come out with this information, but they don't go to the heart of the matter. Let's analyze this. Trump was put in there to bring out the last vestiges of American middle class, the last strength of America. And everything he says and everything he does publicly seems to be in the old vein of America first, America as a strength. The middle class will come back. And guess who's behind him? All the middle class. If you look at the red states, it's the globalists on the East Coast and West Coast. Then we have the rest of the country, middle class America, waiting for Trump to do something to save our country. But in the meantime, behind the scenes, Trump works with them. And I'm not talking about he appoints these people and then they backstab him. No. He is involved just as deeply because what they're doing is they're putting all the pressure on Trump where there doesn't even... Look, what he did with the Russians is nothing, but yet they have a grand jury, and yet Clinton goes free and they're allowing it. If there was truth here, the Trump administration would be tough on the Clintons. This would never be happening. But the point is, what are they doing in the back? Why is this going on? Because, folks, it is you who are going to be put down. What they're doing is showing that America has no strength left at all. Trump is a puppet. He's allowing this to go on. He knows they're playing the game with him. He's not worried about it. All he's worried about is furthering the New World Order agenda along with the Clintons. And they play the left-right paradigm, the Hegelian dialectic. But it's very clear now. And I think even mainstream America that doesn't buy what I say, and that means that the Jesuit order and the Vatican have placed these people in their positions. And the real goal is to bring America down. Now, how are they doing it with Trump? Because when his administration goes down, so does the last vestiges of America. And you see the globalists laughing in their faces. And people look, can't we do anything about the Clintons? Because they are a part of the global establishment that will be your rulers in the future. And the Trump administration is there as a puppet regime to make sure this happens and to show you that you don't have a prayer anymore. And that's why the Republican Congress hasn't done anything. Because what they're saying is, look, America, you put these people there and they can't get anything done. It reflects on you. In the meantime, the globalists on the Clinton side and Obama are laughing and laughing because in the end, the Jesuits realize that they have to play this game while they're playing this political game. Things are going on behind the scenes to bring this country to its knees and to move forward with a global order. Okay? So, let's play this Judicial Watch interview by Tom Fenton. He's the head of it. Now remember, there's an intro by someone who presents the video, and let's listen to what mainstream America says. Now, Judicial Watch supposedly is this group that is there to protect you. But, I've been watching them. They file lawsuits, they do all these things, but nothing ever gets done. Again, it's a slap in your face. But listen to what he says, because this gives more credence to what I'm saying, that it's far much more of an orchestrated effort by both sides than he leads on. But you have to go to the very, very top. And I say that all roads lead to Rome. Let's see what they have to say here on the Investigative Journal.
ProjectIronSearch.com. We've got Tom Fenton on this clip from Judicial Watch talking about some new bombshells. We can now prove that Jeff Sessions is covering up Clinton crimes and Illuma classified emails, guys. Huge. He is now proven to be compromised. He is actually covering up while they're going to try to impeach Trump. This is outrageous, guys. I want you to get this story out everywhere. Do we even know? Is Trump aware of these redactions that Judicial Watch just got that prove the cover-up? I want everybody out there to tweet at POTUS and tweet at Real Donald Trump. Send this viral. This is shocking information. Stu Webb and Tom Hennigan had already been made aware that Jeff Sessions has been compromised. He's been threatened. And now it's now proven. This guy is covering up crimes. And they're going to take out Trump unless he gets rid of Sessions and stops this garbage. I'm sick of it, guys. Get this out. Thanks. Here it is.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tom Fenton, Judicial Watch President, with our weekly update for you here on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, etc. Thanks for joining us again this week. I wasn't around last week, so there's a lot to catch up on in terms of our anti-corruption watchdog work from our headquarters here in Washington, D.C., For those of you who don't know, Judicial Watch is a nonprofit educational foundation that combats government corruption by trying to figure out what the bad guys in government are up to, and we do that through litigation and investigation and education. So in that regard, we've got a lot to report to you about today, some of which is going to spur you to action, some of which is going to outrage you. First up, new documents were produced to us finally in our litigation to try to get the records about what went on at that Clinton Lynch tarmac meeting. You remember the meeting that took place last year where Attorney General Lynch, then President Obama's Attorney General, coincidentally met with President Bill Clinton just shortly before Hillary Clinton was supposed to testify. And they met on Attorney General Lynch's airplane at the Phoenix airport in Arizona. It caused quite a scandal. The Justice Department went into cover-up mode or spin mode, however you want to describe it, and even the Attorney General Lynch described the meeting as something that cast a cloud over her investigation into the Clinton email matter, and certainly even James Comey was spooked by the communications between Lynch and Clinton at that sensitive time, and took it upon himself to pretend to be Attorney General for a time in an abusive way. So it really was a significant scandal, and one which is still reverberating today. As you know, there are still calls for an investigation, a criminal investigation of what went on there. But Judicial Watch doesn't wait for the government to do things. We do things independently. It's a great system we have here in the United States that allows groups like Judicial Watch to ask for information independently. It doesn't get to us as quickly and timely as we like sometimes, but we're still getting the documents. What happened here is we sued for the records after we were given the proverbial hand to the face by the administration, the prior administration. Actually, we sued under the current administration, so we got the hand to the face from both administrations. And we have finally gotten records. We got 2 batches of records. The first batch we got about a month ago. They showed communications between the media and the Justice Department about the Clinton-Lynch tarmac meeting. The media started getting word of it. They started asking Justice Department questions. So some back and forth there. Not terribly newsworthy, other than that seemingly the Washington Post and the New York Times wasn't terribly interested in covering the story. Surprise, surprise. It looked like they were kind of forced into it. The reporters were. They were almost apologetic in the emails about even asking the questions. But secondly, we got the big batch of documents just this week, and it's really outrageous because they just show, again, the media interest here in the investigation, and the Justice Department trying to figure out what the response is. And as they try to figure out what the response is, they are drafting talking points. And these talking points are really the method, and that's what they use to talk about the case. So when Lynch is asked questions, when top Justice Department officials are asked questions, and yes, they're communicating with the FBI about this issue. When the FBI is asked questions, they rely on these talking points. Well, the talking points are completely blacked out. You heard that right. They're blacked out. Again, they weren't blacked out by Attorney General Lynch. They weren't blacked out by James Comey. They weren't blacked out by Barack Obama. They were blacked out by the Justice Department, run by Attorney General Sessions, an appointee of President Trump. Isn't that outrageous? And the excuse they use to black the records out, they call it its redaction, the legal phrase is, it's under B5. And B5 is an exemption that you can invoke under FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act, which allows government agencies to withhold information. And this B5 exemption allows the government to withhold information because it's deliberative, it's pre-decisional, it's draft. And so as a result, they don't want to chill government deliberations by releasing this material for fear of people whose ideas are cast aside or seen as foolish or not acted upon. They don't feel bad about themselves. They call it, they don't want to chill government deliberations by leaking information about them. If you're skeptical of that, I share your skepticism, because that is a giant loophole for keeping information away from the American people about cover-ups and other malicious and mendacious behavior by the federal government. And so it's really surprising and frankly jaw-dropping that the Trump administration is blacking out this key information about that infamous Clinton-Lynch tarmac meeting. This is the information. These talking points are how they spun the scandal. And we can't get access to that under this Trump administration. They're making a discretionary call to black out this information. And frankly, President Trump should directly order the release of these records. That's what he should do. So you can go ahead online. I should have printed out a few to show you here. But go online to our website at judicialwatch.org and click on the release about the Clinton-Lynch tarmac records. And you can look at all the records we received. And you'll see where they're blacked out. And you're going to be furious about it. And it's the Justice Department, who is withholding this information from us. Again, run by the Attorney General of the United States, Jeff Sessions, appointed by President Trump. And it's terribly disappointing that now we are in August. The Justice Department is acting as if Hillary Clinton won the election, and acting in a way that continues to protect Hillary Clinton and the Obama administration. And it's got to change. It's got to change. And that's why we're in court, to force it to change and try to get around these battles. But the fact that we are in court battling the Trump administration on Clinton scandal information, to me, is just unbelievable. But nevertheless, we're going to keep on fighting. We're going to get the information out, even if we're opposed by now Trump administration appointees and getting it done. Also, this week we have, along those lines, finally some significant new information. We've been getting a lot of it almost monthly from the State Department. These are Illuma Abedin emails. Now, Illuma Abedin, the top aide to Hillary Clinton, at the State Department, close to her over decades, who had an email account on Mrs. Clinton's illicit email server, and she was doing government business on this email account, getting classified information on this email account, and obviously communicating with Hillary Clinton on this email account. So these new batch of documents, a whopping 1,600 documents, or pages of documents, we received from the Department of State, and they show, again, more pay-for-play, more abuses and mishandling of classified information, and more emails that Hillary Clinton had, but she did not turn over to the State Department as she promised. So let's go back to that first point first. There are 91 new Clinton emails, which bring the grand total, I think, to over 500 new Clinton emails that Judicial Watch uncovered. Not Congress, not the media, Judicial Watch uncovered that Hillary Clinton did not turn over to the State Department as she promised. We wouldn't be getting these emails if they weren't government related. She said she turned them all over to the State Department, all government related emails. She didn't. She did not. And she told the court in our case under penalty of perjury that as far as she knew, all the emails were turned over. But she was much more direct with Congress. And as I recall, the Congress referred to her testimony for perjury investigation in the Justice Department. I don't know what's happening there. So again, this shows that Mrs. Clinton may have not been telling the truth, to put it charitably here. But there are other documents that show, again, the pay-for-play in these emails. And I have this press release I'm referring to is 8 pages, so I can't get into it all here. But it shows that the Clinton Foundation was a way station for donor favors with the State Department. And they were communicating repeatedly and often with Illuma Abedin to get favors done on behalf of Clinton Foundation donors. Now, typically that might be the subject of a criminal investigation, don't you think? And it's document after document we detail. In fact, one donor we have, they talked about trying to get someone the donor knew who was the donor was a major donor to the Clinton Foundation, and Miguel Lassell, Lausell, a Puerto Rican telecom executive who reportedly donated $1 million to the Clinton Presidential Library and was a member of the Clinton Global Initiative, which is one of the Clinton Foundation fronts. He made a request of Abedin through the Clinton Foundation executive Doug Ban. Doug Ban was the go-between to push for the appointment of someone to become U.S. ambassador to the Dominican Republic. And they followed up on it. We don't know who the ambassador was because they redacted the name. Again, the Obama State Department, it wasn't the Obama State Department, it was the Trump State Department that redacted the name of the person they were pushing forward. Also, there are many documents that show, again, Mrs. Clinton was mishandling classified information. Abedin was mishandling classified information. They were sending and receiving classified information on these emails. Now, their argument is it wasn't classified at the time. Well, it was classified at the time. It certainly wasn't marked classified at the time, but it was classified at the time. And it's the job of Hillary Clinton and Illuma Abedin to know that, and to certainly operate her email system in a way so as they can protect information they're receiving, even if it's not marked classified. So when they're using these private email accounts, they're putting all this information at risk, which is why criminally they need to be investigated. Because the law makes no distinction, despite what Mr. Comey says about whether there was intent or not. You can't do it this way in such a negligent way. And the documents we have confirm that on multiple occasions. So they're just new instances of mishandling classified information that these new emails show. And so you go to our website, go through the release, you'll see all the details here. But there's more information to pay, and I don't know how much more information we need on pay-to-play, on abuse of classified information, and the typical Clinton way of doing things in terms of misusing her public office for private gain, for there to be a serious criminal investigation. One of the things I noted is that something big in the news this week is that the Special Counsel Mueller, the compromised and arguably unconstitutional office, has initiated or impaneled a grand jury here in the District of Columbia. The grand jury is a serious development for President Trump and his family and his associates. I'm sure folks who are friendly to the Trump team are going to be trying to spin this in a way to minimize it, but it really shouldn't be minimized because it's serious. It shows you that they aim to try to jail this president and his family. I don't know how else to tell you this, but a federal grand jury is serious. Now, we now know, well after the fact, thanks to Judicial Watch, there was a grand jury looking at the Clinton email matter, but they were just using it to issue emails or subpoenas. And all reports indicate this is a much more serious use of a grand jury by the special counsel. And compare and contrast the way that the Trump team and he is being treated versus the way Hillary Clinton was treated. All this criminal information, I'm not aware of any major grand juries that were in operation. No one was brought before a grand jury. Not everyone, seemingly everyone was granted immunity. All this in-your-face obstruction of justice that was uncovered was never pursued. And compare and contrast the disparate treatment between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump by this corrupt Justice Department and FBI. Yes, corrupt Justice Department and FBI. Does it mean that Jeff Sessions is corrupt? No. Does it mean that the director of the FBI, the new director Wray, is necessarily corrupt? No. But the institutions are corrupt, and you can see it in the handling of the Trump investigation versus the Hillary Clinton investigation. The Trump investigation, an investigation in search of a crime they couldn't even have a clue about before they went into it. No predicate criminal activity to justify the resources thrown at trying to put Mr. Trump and his family in jail. And with Hillary Clinton, you had all sorts of in-your-face evidence of crimes, and they couldn't care less about it. They did it, they frankly wouldn't have done a lot of the investigation, frankly, if it weren't for the pressure, public pressure, and pressure from Judicial Watch. So this is a real rule of law scandal going on right now. Hillary Clinton getting away with everything while Donald Trump being prosecuted based on what we still don't know. Not that he's been literally prosecuted, but certainly they have him in his sights. This is a real crisis. What is Judicial Watch doing to address it? We're asking questions. We're not waiting for Congress to get to the bottom of it. We're not waiting for the media to do it. We know what the media's views on this are. We're doing our own work. And to that end, we sued for more information on the Comey memo and the Comey memos. And these are the memos that James Comey, in my view, dishonestly created after his various meetings with Donald Trump, or so he tells us. And we don't necessarily believe that, and that's why our lawsuit is designed to get what is called the metadata of these documents. And the metadata could provide us information about who wrote the memos, and when they were edited, and when they were created.
Okay, I got to take a break, but I guess you can see my point. We'll be back in 3 minutes on the Investigative Journal.
The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The following program is labeled dangerous and off limits by the supreme Jesuit command. But stand tall, people. Listen up, and you may just learn something.
Oh, dear Lord Jesus, this ain't happening, man. This can't be happening, man. This isn't happening.
Okay, we're back for the second half hour, and just to add a few notes to what I played in the first half hour regarding the treatment of Trump and the treatment of Clinton. What they're all missing is that Trump's involved in this too. And what they're doing here is saying, oh, look how they're treating Mr. Trump and his family. And everybody he's appointed is backstabbing him because the Clintons have control of the FBI and the DOJ. But the real problem is that Trump works with them too. And this is staged to bring America down. Think about that. All right. Videos like I'm about to play in this half hour get spread all over the internet. It's amazing. But of course, this one has to be created by some smart guy. And I say smart guy in quotes, who wants to get his or her point across. Now, what he does in this video is he it's displayed as if the Illuminati is presenting it. And I'm going to play the audio, but there's a very businesslike white-haired man who's giving this speech, and he looks very, very articulate and very, very connected. And he, in a point-blank way, is telling you how Illuma Corp works. But the real Vatican-led New World Order, and I say that because there's not one mention of the Vatican or the Jesuits. They don't tell you like through straight messages. They use signs, symbols, other hidden clues, not direct messages like the one below. So whoever did it, my recommendation is please include the top of the pyramid, none other than the Vatican and Jesuit order. Now, someone in the comment section of this video said it wasn't new, and saw it in 2012. I have never seen it before, and a listener attached this message and asked me to watch it. Again, no mention of the Jesuits and the Vatican, and I always say nobody really gets it, do they? And the attachment said Illuminati. The Illuminati is a secret organization of the most powerful and influential elite in the world. They go back for centuries and maintain some bloodlines. They set up the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Group, and the Trilateral Commission. Those three groups all meet to plan the fate of the world. They consist of international bankers, top government officials, leaders in the energy cartel, and media monopoly owners, and have control over the UN and UNESCO. Now, I agree with that, folks. But where's the mention of the top level of this pyramid? All roads lead to Rome. So what's happened here? We either have a guy that's, I'm convinced it's somebody who wants to get his point across. He knows a lot about the Illuminati. But he doesn't mention the Vatican. Now, he could be basically misinformed, or this could be put out there by the Jesuits in the Vatican, who never want themselves mentioned. Remember how they operate? When even Jesuit general, I believe his name was Tamburini, back in the 1700s, said, he's sitting in Borgo Santo Spirito Cinque in Rome, a place I've walked by many times. He's sitting there saying, we control the world, China, and all over, without anybody realizing we do it. And they do the same today. He goes on to say their subdivisions reach into everyone's daily life without most of the sheeple even being aware of it. They also have tie to the Freemasons, Skull and Bones, and the Knights Templar. Now, when I was in Rome in the 80s, their story came out on the French and Italian newspapers that 150 high-level bishops and cardinals were involved in Freemasonry. That tells me everything I need to know. Where's the mention of that? Their ultimate goal is for one world government and one world religion, which I will add, will control also a one world currency, and they want control and ownership of all land, property, resources, and people. Also, they manipulate political parties and legal and illegal drug trade, and federal agencies related to matters listed above. Okay, now I'm going to play these clips for you. And it's a creepy video. And it states that all Illuminati members watch it before they're inducted. Oh, really? Well, I think, you'll get something out of this. But I'm just putting it here to show you how they really operate. It's either, like I said, a smart guy who wants to get his point across, or it's actually put out by people who want to cover up for the Vatican and Jesuits, because there's not one mention of them. Here we go. And we'll get it going here in a second. Hopefully. Here we go. Nice little introduction. Nice little introduction. And it says Illuma Corp.
Hello, initiates, and welcome to the Illuma Corp video training course. I would like to officially welcome you as a member of the team. You've joined our organization at perhaps the most exciting point in our long history. Our founders shared a passionate dream to transform this country and eventually the whole world to one cohesive organization. When Illuma Corp finishes gaining centralized control over the resources of the planet, and we will, we can then organize, distribute, and govern for the benefit of all. After competition and dissent are eliminated, we will build a utopia for the people of the world to share based on need and rejoice together in a harmonious new world. This presentation is designed to enlighten you about our organization's goals and achievements. As your guide, I will help to answer some basic questions you might have about Illuma Corp and familiarize you with the valuable role you will play in helping us reach our prime objective. So please, take a tour with me as we march together towards an exciting new world. All people are aware of class. To them, society is made up of the rich, the middle, and the poor. The one thing that all three classes don't understand is that the pyramid continues upward. There is a detached hidden capstone made up of an elite board of directors who own and manage Illuma Corp. The three classes below, in essence, become the assets and resources of Illuma Corp. Illuma Corp is divided into various administrative branches, but each branch has the same 5 levels in their hierarchy. You will begin at the bottom, in the initiate category. As such, your role will be to make sure that your orders are carried out through the sub-corporations and institutions controlled by Illuma Corp. You will be placed in plain sight, at the head of a company or institution in the public sector, to carry out the plans delivered from above. Remember, your role is very important. You will be the face of Illuma Corp to the outside world. You are our connection to the masses below. Never speak publicly about your orders or your masters. Now let's look at Illuma Corp's 6 administrative branches and their functions. You will be placed in a top position of power among one of the following sectors. In this way, as you are monitored and guided from above, you will decide strategy and introduce programs that further our goals. For that is the secret to Illuma Corp's success. Control the head, and you control the body. This is potentially Illuma Corp's most effective instrument for global control. Through international banking, we manipulate the fate of all countries. We have introduced many institutions, such as the IMF and WTO, that work in our favor to impoverish disobedient nations. Always remember, debt is a powerful weapon against countries that don't share Illuma Corp's vision. Perhaps our greatest achievement in banking is the Federal Reserve System. It is a collection of international banks owned by Illuma Corp members and financiers. It was created to form a centralized banking system through the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, an act that was indeed penned by some of our most esteemed members. Many of you might still assume that the government itself prints and issues the currency. That is not the case. When America needs money, they go to our boys and ask for it. The money is printed, but it is only representative of a loan. Interest accrues on that dollar until it is paid back to the Fed. In fact, the federal taxes paid by the American population go almost entirely to paying off this debt. So you see, Illuma Corp derives a healthy amount of its operation funding directly from the debt of the public. Needless to say, this is one of our most crucial sources of funding, and one of our proudest achievements here at Illuma Corp. Through mergers and acquisitions, we have slowly and silently bought up the majority of U.S. industry. Illuma Corp and its members own most of the oil, transport, banking, media, food and communications industries in America and abroad. Through fewer and fewer conglomerates, we are able to effect with great precision the machinations of labor and government. Ultimately, corporations will replace government as a centralized international body that can meet the needs of the public worldwide without the chaos created by national self-interest. When Illuma Corp goes public, corporatism will be the foundation for world government. Conglomerates will merge into one cohesive corporation that is responsible only to Illuma Corp and needs of its global employment force. Illuma Corp's control of the American military is another impressive tool in our possession. We have nurtured these institutions lavishly to serve as the prototype for our global police force. When ready, our technology and manpower will dominate those who oppose the coming new world order. By utilizing American patriotism, we have fostered in the American soldier the philosophy of peace through superior force. When the time is right, we will migrate that mentality towards the belief in a global government who must protect all people through superior force. We have used the American military-industrial complex to build the arsenal necessary to instigate the final cleansing outlined in Illuma Corp's Great Plan. Our primary target will be Islamic nations who will never submit to our Western-centric domination. They also hold much of the remaining oil reserve of the planet. Illuma Corp must own that precious resource, as it is crucial in maintaining our domination over the countries of the world. Through Illuma Corp's enormous federal funding of the military, we can develop new forms of warfare and population reduction. The public can't imagine what we were in the process of developing. Soon, even the weather will be a weapon under our control. We will be able to create droughts, floods, hurricanes, and even tsunamis with no fingerprints attached. The political system of America has been under direct control of Illuma Corp for some time. It was actually a relatively easy acquisition and has been even easier to manage. Politicians know of our unspoken agreement and will do anything to stay in power. A two-party system benefits Illuma Corp in that it reduces all issues into a black and white debate. Through media, we can play side against side, using each where necessary to support our goals. Due to a diminishing faith in the system among the public, Illuma Corp has designed a rogue candidate program to provide a voice for the dispossessed. This disperses the impetus for dissent among those who do not feel represented by our candidates and builds a database of potential dissidents. At the turn of the last century, Illuma Corp took a serious interest in public education. Our Supreme Council realized that by creating a private organization to dictate curriculum on a federal level, children could be conditioned to obedience on a mass scale. In the interest of promoting Illuma Corp principles in the classroom, hundreds of millions of dollars were invested to create the General Education Board in 1902. The result of doing this is evident today. The doctrines of public education have transformed recent generations into a weaker, more docile mass. Through meticulously planned curriculum, we have control over the process by which the average child learns. Thus, we can mold them into obedient workers who are conditioned to accept the implementation of the Great Plan. In addition, Illuma Corp has set up many associations, including the American Historical Association, that determine and uphold the official view of history. Knowledge is power, so we must at all costs be the authors of the truth. By writing history to suit our interests, dissenting voices cannot gain ground, and we can vastly influence culture to achieve our prime objective. Illuma Corp uses the media to shape the public's opinion about current events and condition desired attitudes about our future agenda. Through news, entertainment, and advertising, we can program a variety of emotions and responses into the collective unconscious. In the past, we were limited entirely to print media, but now we have multiple mediums to utilize in programming and conditioning the masses. With cable news, we have directed the public to a more entertainment-based consumption of world events, infotainment. This medium is far more effective in subliminal reinforcement of desired attitudes towards our objectives. For instance, we are currently instilling a sense of duty towards environmental issues. With our growing control of the weather through HAARP and chemtrails, we will scare the public into accepting our global protection agendas. We will then phase into the great cleansing which must occur to return the global population to a manageable size. We reinforce the desired norm through advertising, creating a model for people to live up to that is virtually impossible. The result is an incomplete, desperate individual seeking acceptance. Through reality television game shows, we repeat the pattern of individual survival versus group survival. This breaks down the idea of community and breeds individuals who seek only their self-interest. With a public that is constantly suspicious and scheming, we maintain the status quo of a divided population that never thinks to look up. Religion has served its purpose incredibly well. It is the oldest and perhaps the broadest form of social control utilized by Illuma Corp. With religion, there is a written code of conduct that must be followed. The authors of the Holy Scriptures knew quite well how to lace that code with commands to maintain their dominance over the population. This system has survived through millennia to hold the flock together and bring us to today. Admittedly, religion is losing its power and control. However, the fanaticism that has arisen due to this decline is particularly helpful to Illuma Corp. Our invisible influence in the church has helped bring the Christian fundamentalists out of the background. We control their opinions on current issues through policies designed and written right here at Illuma Corp headquarters. They are sent to our ministers, who then preach the Word of God and their interpretations of the Bible to their followers. Their blind faith is used to transform them into willing soldiers to defend our cause during the catastrophes ahead. As the final phase is enacted, we will propagate end-time prophecy to convince them of their convictions. The rise of Islamic fundamentalism works to Illuma Corp's advantage as a threat that will demand violent action. In the coming years, planned terrorist attacks will warrant a full-scale retaliation and initiate the final phase of the Great Plan. Christians will support our actions, since they will believe them to be proof of the end times prophesied by Illuma Corp's religious leaders.
It says this, so I'll read it to you. Together in secret, we will wait to begin the final phase of this great plan. The sun is rising, and it will beam a glorious dawn upon the new world. As an employee of Illuma Corp, you are above the limitations of nationality, press, and religion. You are now a member of the Illumined Ones. Your loyalty and your devotion belong only with us. Help us finish the plan. Together, we will proudly initiate the New World Order.
Now that you have a basic understanding of how we work over here at Illuma Corp, I would like to introduce you to one of our latest projects, the Control Grid. Since ancient times, it has been the desire of the Illumins to wield control over the masses below, both to protect us from them and them from themselves. The tools through the ages have been effective, but always blunt and inaccurate. But now, with the release of new technology to the masses, we have the real ability to implement a control grid with finance, industry, government, and military under our strict control. We can safely ship the population into a new world, monitored and controlled by Illuma Corp. Technology such as the internet, GPS, and RFID chips are pillars of the invisible prison we are erecting around the people. Within the decade, we will have real ID cards that contain criminal records and pertinent information, all linked to federal databases. Cell phones will tell us where each individual is, linked to the same database. Through intelligence agencies and Homeland Security, we will monitor individuals who oppose the Great Plan and remove them from the grid. Quickly, the population will learn that they have a choice: support the system and benefit from its luxuries, or reject it and lose access to the grid. Well, that was quite an overview. I hope it gave you an understanding of our process and basic overall structure here at Illuma Corp. The dawn of a new era is on the horizon, and it will shine gloriously over the new world that we have built together.
Okay, so there you have it. We are all now official members of Illuma Corp, whether you like it or not. That's their message, isn't it? And isn't it interesting how general it was? Now, like I said, who do you think did that? Who do you think put that out there on the internet? It's got thousands and thousands of views, and that's recently. Now, somebody said it came out in 2012. Who do you think put it out? Like I said, it either could be a smart guy who wants to get his point across. He knows a lot about the Illuminati, just enough to, there are a lot of good points there. The Federal Reserve, control of religion, control of this, control of that. You have no choice. We control the political system. But very few specifics, right? Oh, they mentioned the General Trilateral Commission and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, even the Jesuits or the Vatican and the real members of this elite corps, they don't do messages like this. And I think what it does is it gives you a brief, a general overview, but you're left just knowing what you already knew. Now, if you're a mainstream person and hear that, how much of that would you discount? I bet you 95% of the American people wouldn't believe any of it because they've been so brainwashed. The point about education was important. The point about how they control history was important. And I guess if we, the people, understood that, it wouldn't happen. But as it always is, the masses of people just follow right along. And they'll be watching CNN, they'll be watching infomercials, they'll be watching all the reality TV shows. And the New World Order, the real ones, the Vatican-led New World Order, is steaming on ahead, creating chaos in every part of the world. And like I said, when is the next shoe going to drop? When World War III finally hits the American soil. Are they preparing for it? Of course. They realize the one thing they must do is take total control and rearrange this country to suit their needs. Once that's done, using Islam, they create the one world order, and we will be a part of it if we're still here. Now, how can you resist? That is the big question. And why don't we deal with that later in the week? Think about it. And I hope that that message, I'd like to get to the bottom of who really did it. That's my point. But anyway, we're all out of time here on the Investigative Journal. Back tomorrow on Tuesday. See you and have a good evening.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.